So, The Bad Batch Episode 3 released today, so here is my breakdown and predictions for the next one. The episode was called Replacements, which is pretty accurate, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We start off in hyperspace following what happened last episode and the escape on Seleucami. We see Omega laying against the Bad Batch's gonk droid, and then Hunter comes in for what he calls chow time, which is obviously food. Wrecker comes down and scrans his within a second and asks for more. Omega offers hers to him and he goes to accept, but Hunter stops him because she needs to eat as well, and he says how they should treat her a little bit better as she doesn't even have her own bed. Wrecker obviously then declines her food. One of the lights on the ship then goes out, and Echo explains how following what happened last episode, the systems have been glitching. We see Tech work on some kind of scanner to see the functionality of the inhibitor chips within the Bad Batch members, which I will talk about a little bit later. They are pulled out of hyperspace and they are heading for a crash on some kind of moon. Then we see Omega is obviously very scared as she's never crashed in a ship before, but the Bad Batch do land fine. But on the way down, Wrecker is saying, we're gonna die, until he realizes Omega is scared, so he changes that to we're gonna be alright, foreshadowing what he's gonna do for her later. They crash and everyone is okay, including the gonk, but Wrecker did hit his head on the way down, which actually turns out to be something quite important, and I will speak on again later. The storm on the planet knocks out their communications, and Tech says how a capacitor is needed to be replaced, and they have one of them on board. Omega asks if it's in here when accidentally pulling out Crosshair's weapon kit, and Wrecker says how he misses him. Tech says how it's possible Crosshair did what he did, betraying the Bad Batch because of his inhibitor chip. We obviously, as an audience, know that this is the exact reason why. We then cut to Crosshair himself on Kamino coming out from under a machine, and one of the Kaminoans says how he is responding well to the procedure. The Imperial from the hologram last episode about chain codes appears and is impressed on the sight of Crosshair. He says how Project Warmantle is on schedule, which we see in Rogue One when they are searching for the Stardust file. He mentions how the recruits are here and ready for training under their new commander, who is Crosshair. They all debate about the clones versus regular recruits who sign up, and then we meet these 4 members of the elite squad. Now, cutting back to the Bad Batch, Echo and Tech replace the capacitor as Echo hears something and investigates. We see these things here, which I originally thought would be the spiders from that Mandalorian episode, but it turned out that they were not. The capacitor is then replaced, and before they go inside they notice this big scratch on the ship, which obviously was not there before. They then head inside and a creature steals the capacitor and runs away with it. Wrecker points out how his head is hurting, and I personally think that this could have messed up with his inhibitor chip, which I will talk about in my predictions for the next episode. The power cuts out and Omega spots the creature and tells the Bad Batch about it, so Hunter goes to look for it as Omega herself volunteers to go with him, as she says she is a part of the squad now too. Tech points out how the creature was likely attracted to the electricity of the capacitor, and then we cut back to Kamino. The new recruits are examined, and one of them says how with the Empire they get paid, fed, and have a roof put over their head, which is more than what the Republic did for them. The Imperial says how the loyalty of the people who willingly enlist is valuable, and Tarkin says that they need to have a test to see how good they really are. He sends them to Onderon to kill Saw Gerrera's squad. Hunter and Omega hunt the creature as Omega asks if she could hunt like Hunter, where Hunter says it's an enhanced skill. This is kind of pushing the idea that Omega has all the enhancements of the Bad Batch members again, but she then suggests how they should go back and save Crosshair, as it wasn't his fault for what they had done, which I think they will eventually do. We then see Crosshair and the Elite Squad in their shuttle heading to Onderon, where one of the shoulders gets particularly cocky to Crosshair, and that will become quite an important thing later on in the episode. They start killing all the soldiers at the camp, but Saw Gerrera himself is not there. Back to Hunter and Omega, they find the stolen part. As Hunter goes to grab it, the creature pounces on him, which ends up removing his mask. The creature then runs away with the part again. Omega notices it and puts it back on, but Hunter is already passed out. Omega then takes Hunter's blaster and goes after the creature, hunting it down herself. She heads into some kind of tunnel, and then we go back to Crosshair. Following the elimination of all the soldiers at the camp, Crosshair tells his squad to wipe out the innocent, where the particular member that spoke up to Crosshair before stops him and says that they should take them in as they are innocent. As these were not the orders given to them, Crosshair then shoots this guy, which I was happy to see because he was very annoying. He then orders the rest of the squad to shoot the rest of the innocent and says again how good soldiers follow orders. We see Omega still hunting, and she eventually finds the part and grabs it. Then the creature comes up from behind her and screams. Hunter is woken up and shouts for Omega when the creature then calms down, grabs the part that Omega dropped after grabbing it, and calms down quite a lot. Omega analyzes the creature for a bit and then comes to the conclusion that she will feed it her torch to distract it and then take the part she needs and gets out of there. Obviously she gets out okay and talks to Hunter basically about everything that just happened. The Elite Squad arrive back on Kamino, and Tarkin praises for them for doing what Clone Force 99 could not. He then mentions how clones are a relic of the past and expensive, but will remain for now, and he leaves the projects in the hands of the Admiral. We then see Lama Su and Nala Se talk about their fear of the future for them, and mention how they need to begin the next phase as the Jango Fett DNA is running out. They mention how to do this next phase they need one of the enhanced clones, probably being Omega. The Elite Squad then enter the Bad Batch's barracks. As they walk past, they're like scratch marks on the wall and do not tick off another successful mission. We see Crosshair sit down on his bed, and he does actually look a little bit sad, potentially leading to a return with the Bad Batch and fixing his inhibitor chip and stuff. Lastly, we see Wrecker show the new room that he made for Omega while she was out with Hunter. She says it was perfect. It was a pretty good moment, and it just reinforces how she is a member of the Bad Batch now. So with that being said, that is the end of the Bad Batch episode 3. My thoughts on it: it was probably worse than episode 1 and 2, however it was pretty good, needed definitely, it developed the story a lot, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I think next episode is going to be the best one so far, as there's been two more slow ones in a row. In terms of predictions, I think that Wrecker's inhibitor chip hurting in his head is a potential hint that either it's going to mess up and then they're going to be able to fix it with Tech's new scanner, or it's going to mess up completely, and when they go back to Kamino to save Crosshair, he doesn't get out of there and he is given the same treatment as Crosshair, and it is Crosshair, Wrecker, the Elite Squad versus the rest of the Bad Batch. I think it would be really cool to see that, because Wrecker is really strong, but he is an absolute child, so it would be cool to see how much of a beast he is when you strip away that personality of him. I also think that when Rex and Fennec meet up with the Bad Batch, they would potentially be in the fight if this was to happen, and that would be why the Bad Batch would still win. It would make sense, because the members do need to be killed off, at least the majority of them, because we don't see them in anything else. But yeah, in terms of next episode Alone's predictions, we will see at least one of Rex and Fennec Shand. I think Rex is maybe more likely, but if I'm being honest, I'm not too sure. So with that being said, that is the end of the video, the Bad Batch episode 3 breakdown, predictions for episode 4 and onwards, etc, etc. I'm sorry there was no upload yesterday. I tried to get it out, but it took ages to post, so that will be going out tomorrow. I'm not going to reveal what it is, that can be a surprise, but I mentioned how I have hit 2.8k which obviously happened yesterday. So yeah, I'm sorry if that like confuses you, but thank you for 3,000 subscribers. That is honestly so sick. We're 2k away from the next huge milestone. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like whilst you're down there. If you haven't already, please do subscribe and comment your thoughts on the episode. Comment your predictions for the future of the Bad Batch, and yeah, in a bit.